Thanks for staying with us. So, Thursdays we like to bring in some fantastic guests just to co-host with the ladies. So today, our guest is an inspirational traveler, storyteller, a thrill seeker on a mission to motivate women to live their most audacious lives, living by her motto, the magic is in the doing. She's known for exploring the less traveled paths all around the world and has journeyed through over 80 countries across 6 continents, often solo, to encourage women everywhere to embrace the unknown. She recently completed a momentous feat, becoming the first woman to drive solo from London to Lagos, covering over 10,000 kilometers in 74 days to connect 2 of the places she calls home. This groundbreaking journey led to her appointment as the ambassador of tourism for Lagos State. Welcome with us, Pelumi Nubi in the building.
What an intro. Thank you so much.
First of all, you look amazing.
Thank
Your skin is poppy, you're glowing,
I'm blushing.
everything is just poppy. I love the pink on you, you know.
Thank you so much.
So good to have you.
The hair.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's easy.
So we'll come back to know what you're doing and what you're working on. But first, we want you to enter this gist with us. There's this interesting conversation. The whole of Nigeria was talking about the biggest wedding. Well, not the biggest, because there's another one that was really big in Anambra. We will also talk about that one. One of the most talked about societal weddings in Nigeria in recent times is the one involving actress Iyabo Ojo's daughter Priscilla and her husband, Tanzanian singer Juma Jokes, Mkambala. It's had all the glitz, the glamour, pop, and pageantry. Before we touch later on the paparazzi, we want to discuss one element of the wedding, which is the intercultural coming together of both families. This factor has either prevented or stopped many other relationships from coming to fruition. Today on the show, we're going to be discussing what is that thing that stops or prevents people from allowing their loved ones to marry from different countries and different tribes. That's our conversation. You can join the conversation on 020-1635-2013, 090-241-63440. You can also send us tweets on X and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to hear your thoughts. So, one of the reasons why this was important, we'll talk about the glitz, the glamour, the drama for the fantastic event. But let's talk about intercultural weddings, because I know of a family. This happened years ago, and the girl wanted to marry an Irishman, and the father vehemently said it's not going to happen because he's from, I think, which state? I think it was either Ekiti or one of those hardcore states. He's like, this child was not, he was like, there's no way. How would he start letting his child go to Ireland? It doesn't make any sense. So he broke that wedding, and I remember he spoke to I was talking to my uncle, saying that was trying to advise him that he should let her go, and he put his foot down, and he broke that relationship. That's on one end. On the flip side, somebody else allowed their child to go to Tanzania. So you're thinking, well, how do we navigate these thoughts? What are the things that restrict families from stopping their children? Others encouraging it. Let me start with who? Nima. What are your thoughts on this interculture? Would you allow your daughter to marry from a different country? An Irishman, for example.
One funny conversation happened between myself and my daughter. We were just watching. I was like, please, so in life, who would you like to marry? She said, Mommy, Chinese.
Hey.
I say, yeah.
No. And you know how you don't like that with those people?
She said, Mommy, there are ways and everything that she like. I said, please, what's the conversation? We're not doing again. Even for now, I'm not prepared for that kind of conversation yet. So I come from a background where my parents were our background was very sheltered. I imagine my sisters, when they came home with their different cultures and ethnicities, my parents flipped the first time. I saw my mom. When my sister brought one Eastern guy like this, my mother said, see, your grandfather forbade it to all your aunties that went there. They did not come back happy. They took their kids and kicked them out. And so they started giving us stories. And so they will invite her auntie who is still in court trying to get custody of her kids. They'll say, tell her, what's you see. She go talk her own. She will say no. So when my elder sister came and she brought somebody from Kwara, my father said, you see, he doesn't like to choose. Right now I'm thinking maybe he should have chosen for one of us. But you will call mom, he will tell you, is it your choice? Are you in love with this person? Once you say that's it, my father just gives you his consent. But my mom takes her time to tell you why you should not go that way. Who has suffered one thing and the other that went that way. And I'm thinking this particular instance that my father should have stood his ground on one of us, just in retrospect. But this particular time, the drama in my house was tough. Everybody was everywhere. Uncles had an opinion. The first daughter to married from Kwara, and everybody had an opinion. And I saw the way my sister stood her ground. If you people finish, I'm going to marry him. If I don't marry him, I will live in this house till I'm 40, I won't marry. And she used to threaten her, in my house, we get married when we should get married. Okay. I remember that conversation. So I'm not one who is open to it immediately, but I just want my children to marry and be happy. I want them to find good people. So that's the most important thing.
That's important. Mariam, your thoughts?
Yeah, so for me, of course, with marriage, I just think it's about the people, the person himself, themselves. And as long as the person is a good person, the person is kind, the person loves you, or you love the person, you know, the person has shown in his relationship with his family and friends and people that he really doesn't know, or as a girl, you know, how you relate with people also tells you about that person. So for me, I feel that that really should be the foundation. And I've always had that, right? But recently, and I think it has a lot to do with growing older, I'm seeing things and then I'm looking at things a bit differently. I used to wonder then when you have some adults insisting, no, you can't go here, you can't do this. And now I see that maybe the only problem was they would not give you the reasons why.
But now you see the why.
Yeah, so but now when you can sit down and articulate the reasons why, I'm beginning to appreciate that sort of advice. So the advice not to say, we don't marry from here because we just don't marry from here. These are the things that have happened. You know, recently I saw something that happened to somebody and it was almost like a replica of what happened to her mother or a replica of what happened to the cousin, coming from a particular, getting married to a particular family, a particular background, particular culture. And I'm like, oh, so that's why when you come home and say you want to be with someone, they insist you cannot be with this person. Or if you have some families that there's some things, you know, I was having a conversation with my husband recently and we're like, oh, if your daughter comes home and she's marrying this person, we mentioned a particular person. It's like, this person is known in our country not to be an honest person. You know, the source of wealth is questionable. I would never, there's no amount of money that will allow me, that will make me give my daughter out to this person. And, you know, somebody else, you know, before I would have, as long as they love each other, and you know, but now I understand why. Yes, you think about it because what happens is when they get married, there's life after the wedding. They get married, and then things start coming up. What do you then say, you know, to each other? So for me, intercultural, I love it. I love the difference in culture, the music, the food, and the fact that you now create a whole human being with different features and whatever, right? But you have to find out a little bit more about that person's culture, their beliefs, their values, before you make that step.
But let me come to you, because you lived in London, or you live in London, and you have the multicultural state, obviously.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if you have a daughter or you fall in love with somebody from Afghanistan or Pakistan, like, is that something you would even consider?
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely there's a joy in having someone that understands your culture and you don't have to explain some jokes and there's, you know, they get it already, you know. But I think once you, especially me being a traveler, being able to experience different culture and people, you really see the similarities and the overlap as well. As much as we are different, there's lots of similarities that make us human. So fundamentally, I think there's some principles and values that each person have to consider. Like you said, after marriage, you have to stay with this person. Are they kind? Are they honest? Are they, you know, you can judge character in things. But I see why some people just want to go down the lane of, I know this person, this is my code, these are my people, you know. So it really depends on your take. But I personally, you know.
Interesting. My former boss, I mean, he divorced his Nigerian wife to marry an Indian woman. I mean, everyone's like, what in the bananas are you thinking? But today they're still together and they're pretty happy. So I get that. Waike, what are your thoughts on this intercultural?
Well, it's funny you should ask me because my daughter is married to
a white man.
Yes, and
is he pure British or is he mixed with something?
He's mixed. He's half Australian and half Armenian, but his parents grew up in England, so he's a British citizen he's British by birth.
Yeah.
So they seem happy. This year makes it 8-9 years that they've been married, you know. So,
But there are cultural issues, like
Difference.
differences.
Yes, definitely with the families, with the because like with a Nigerian, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you must do was greet people around you. You can't just walk into a room and not greet. But he is not like that, so he cannot understand.
Good morning.
Good morning. You can be in the house, you will not say good morning. But me, I must, that good morning,
You get it.
I must hear it, and he must say it, you know. So he'll ask my daughter, I say, why do Nigerians always say, must Nigerians always greet? Yes, so Nigerians must always greet. When we are going out, I'm going out to
Dagberry.
Welcome back.
my Dagberry. So,
Yeah.
of course, there are huge cultural differences, but what it's training each other
Yes.
to accept and
Yes.
live
Be accommodating,
by,
tolerating.
you know, so that what is happening is that they are sharing their cultures,
Yeah.
you know.
Interestingly, Waike, somebody was telling me recently that the way a lot of Nigerians have jackpot, it's like most of our cultures and traditions are going to be lost eventually because many of them will start meeting Pakistanis and Lebanese and all these Asian countries. I mean, I know of a Nigerian who married a Chinese, and I'm wondering, how did you even
Do you
meet?
know the children? They call them Blasians
Because they're blended,
They're
yeah.
black and Asian. So for me, that's what I love. That I love to see our African features.
But we'll soon like diminish, don't you
I think
think?
a lot of people do maintain those, like like you said, I was brought up in the
Yeah.
UK, but I speak Yoruba,
Yeah.
so there are some things that can still be installed and.
Not if your husband, not if your dad is
is.
Lebanese. You might not. You might.
No,
that would be
no,
hard.
no,
I mean, like it can be
Amazingly,
kept.
you know, my sisters who married Yoruba, their kids speak more of Esako than my own kids who
As a mother.
are both parents. Because I'm struggling to get my kids to... Nima, that's my niece, amazing Esako that she speaks. There's nothing we gossip in my language. She'll be the one interpreting. I met my cousin at Eid Fest, and I was shocked. She married Yoruba, I think Kwara also. And all our 4 kids, the code language is my language. So she wants to tell them something publicly because everybody's Yoruba in their father's house. She's speaking my language, and I was envious of her sitting back there. See the work that this one have finished with 4 kids. I have just 2 every day. What does that mean? What does that even mean? You know, we're going up back and forth. So you can choose not to lose touch with your own.
Yeah.
The only way I could speak my own language growing up here is because my mom was disciplined about it. I think discipline is what is key. About
So,
your
okay,
culture,
maybe I should
what you-
rephrase my question. You know how Black Americans can try to trace their origins,
Yeah.
and some of them get lost somewhere because it's hard to trace it. Our own children are going abroad. Many of us are jackpying. In the next 2 or 3 generations, many of them might not find out that their roots in Nigeria anymore because many of them have spread across the world. So that's my worry that if we keep mixing up all the races, eventually you can't
Is it a
trace
bad
the
thing?
Nigerian. It's not a bad thing. I'm just like, are we aware? Are we okay
deliberate
with this? Are we fine with the fact that the generations of Nigerians abroad, going abroad are going to may eventually diminish our origin, our roots, and our ancestry?
I don't think it's possible to diminish the roots because first and foremost,
There's
this
still
is
people
Nigeria. There are more Nigerians here than anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like all of you
Exactly.
jackpot, there are still more Nigerians in Nigeria than anywhere else in the world. So our culture cannot diminish.
True.
What will happen is they may lose touch with their culture, which I think is unfair to them. They need to still know about their culture. I also think it's important if you're Nigerian and you have children abroad to bring them
bring them home.
I have a sister whose children
I've never
have never been to Nigeria.
What?
And I keep saying, why are your children, one is in university now, they have never been to the shores of Nigeria. I mean, it's not good though. At least let them even experience it. So I think it's very important for, even if your father is Japanese, go to Japan and see what, you
That
know,
side of yourself.
experience the different cultures, you know. I also think, you know, we should not lay too much emphasis on this culture, that culture. While we should retain our own, I think we should be accepting of other cultures. It's important because it's one people, one world.
Yeah.
We're all,
I think it's a good way to end.
there's no white race or black race, it's the human race.
Gotcha.
So
Let me let
That's
you.
a good
Yeah,
one.
Mariam.
Yes. Okay. So I just want to say, for me, I think it's beautiful, really. And as long as the human beings themselves are good people, then we're fine. It's beautiful. And I keep saying, I'll go back to just seeing, anytime I see all these Black Asians, especially, like you're Black and you're speaking Japanese, or and you have these features, I just think it's the most beautiful. So you're creating beautiful human beings, all, but there's a part of it that we need to talk about, the negative part. And I saw that play out with the, what's her name? Was it Chidima? Chidima from South Africa? Yes. You remember the girl?
Yeah.
Her father is Nigerian, her mother is South African. For me, I felt that was how you see culture play out in a way that did not benefit that girl. All of a sudden, they are telling her, you're not
Reminding her.
South African.
Yeah.
You're not one of us. And all her life, that's all she has known. She speaks their language. She sounds like them. In fact, I think she looks a lot more like them. But thankfully, for her father's side, we're able to embrace her. But still, I'm sure that thing must have, that thing hurt her. How she was nationally disowned, and so that's why I feel, that's when I say, now that I'm older, I'm more careful. So if I were to have someone to say, I want to marry a South African, I would do some investigations, because I've seen how you have treated someone on a national scale, that sometimes you get to a point where you say to this person, well, you're not really one of us.
Let me go on a short break. I wanted to move on, but I think you just opened a new kind of, it's a conversation worth having. But because I really want us to now dig into the Iyabo Ojo's daughter's wedding, because there's so many layers and so many lessons to learn from that entire. It happened a week ago, and the entire internet has been abuzz with this
was
wedding.
it a week ago? It seems
Was
like yesterday, because we keep seeing.
Last week Thursday, and between that time and this time, it's been going on and on. But there's so much to talk about on that wedding. When we come back, we'll unpack this a bit more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.